Hi guys, you're welcome to the Dialogs Studios. We are still right on Android UI, whereby we'll be talking about the material dialog. We're going to be creating a basic list, single or multi-choice dialog, even the progress and input dialog. We'll be extending to date pickers, web view, custom list, and some preference activity dialogs. We'll be using the library from CAM, Start, Material Dialog, Core, and we'll also be integrating the commons library too. This extension library will enable us to include the ColorChooserDialog and the FolderChooserDialog. I'll be moving straight to Android Studio where I have the source files. This is a kind of structure, a framework for you to follow. You can actually pick just one of any functionality right inside this application. You don't necessarily have to integrate all dialogues that we'll be explaining in this particular application. Right there in Android Studio, where I have my build Gradle module and the project app session. On the module app session, I will show you the dependencies that were integrated. We have the Start material dialog, which is the core. This main compile is very, very important. We have for the commons, whereby we get to include a folder and also the color chooser. We have the button knife library from Jake Walton. This particular dependency too is very important, and its compiler. And we have the grid layout version 7, 24.2.0. We actually use the 24 API, which is the latest, which is Android 7. You need to actually upgrade your SDK manager. You can actually do it as a standalone. Upgrade your SDK manager. The Bluetooth version should be 24.0, and even your target SDK version should also be 24, and your compiler SDK should be 24, which is API Android 7 actually. I'll be looking at the build Gradle, the project section. In the project section, you need to upgrade your build Gradle to 2.1.0. You can actually do that by changing the settings of the Gradle wrapper to actually pick 2.1.0 if you're using 1. Gradle version previously. All right, I'll be moving straight to the layout files, which is the UI of the application, where I'll be talking about the XMLs needed in this particular integration. I have the activity main, the dialog custom list item, the dialog custom view, the dialog date picker, and the dialog web view, and also the preference activity. In the activity main, we are going to have almost all buttons needed to actually pick different dialog modes. Whereby we have a scroll view because we're going to have a numerous list of buttons. A linear layout with a source context calling to the main activity. We have a text view right on it that's cause of sample header and the button. This is basic no title. This is an header given to you, and the text on it is no title. That's a no title dialog. Another one, a basic, which is a basic dialog, just normal dialog we know, calling from the string. Another one follows, which is the basic long content. For any long content, we have for the basic icon, that's a dialog with an icon. I have another button which actually going to let us know how to integrate the basic check prompt. As for prompt messages, the text follows with a sample header. That is another module. This particular one is a stack buttons. We have another button for neutral. These are neutral dialogs. Another dialog for callbacks. Another sample header, which is another sub list, which actually is for the basic lists dialog. Now we have different lists of dialog. You have for the basic list, you have for the basic list long, and for the basic list long items. And we also have for checkbox prompt. We have for the choice list, knowing where you have to pick choices from your dialogs. This is a single choice. We have for the single choice long items. These are buttons that will actually trigger this particular type of dialog. We have for the multi-choice. We have the multi-choice limit selections, whereby we assign an ID to it. The ID actually is going to let you know what this particular button is actually doing. We have for the advanced lists form of dialog, whereby we have the guideline spec. We have for the custom adapter. We have for custom views type of dialog, where we have a custom view dialog, and we have the custom view no scroll view. This is for the web view dialog. This particular integration. We have for the date picker, and we have for color chooser, whereby we need to use the commands library. This is where we have to use color chooser, where we have the color chooser dialog, color chooser with the accent, and we have the color chooser from the custom palette. We have for input files, that's whereby you want to actually call folders, where we have the input custom invalidation, and the input check prompt. These are all type of dialogs that we'll be talking about in this particular integration. Let's look at the dialog custom list item. This is actually going to the relative layout and the text view to list up where we have the empty title as an ID, and the button follows under it with the empty button, where we have the align parent, the center vertical, all set appropriately inclusively with the margin bottom and right and top. The text on is the button. This is for the custom view XML. It's actually holding the custom view where the orientation is vertical, and the 100 text signal strength for excellent, for SSID. These are text views showing you all the texts. We have another one for the material dialogs, the text views. We have for security, and we have for password, different dialog for password. We have for show password. This is checkbox to actually show password. Let's get to look at the design. Maybe we'll get to see it in the rendering library. Let's get to move on. Let's get to look at the dialog date picker. This is actually calling on the date picker, and we have it as an ID, and the layout graphics is center. The rotation of this particular application is vertical. Now we have for the dialog web view, where we have an ID called web view. The layout written tonight, match parent, and the IT is wrap content. This is for the web view. And we also have for the preference activities, either that is the settings, sometimes you have settings in your application. This is a dialog that will actually bring out all this. We assign an ID to it called content frame and the match parent for the layout written tonight. That's for the layout files. We have some drawable files here where we have the this account circle, the account, the IC content add button, and also for the empty button selector custom, and also for its selector. Let's look at the strings. We get to look at some values. These are the strings used in this particular integration. We actually have even the string array for states, where we have all states in the United States, starting from Alabama down to Wisconsin. These are all states in the United States. You have social network log items integration for the about, for the dismiss. These are all string integration which are used in the XML and even in the Java classes. I'll be moving straight to my Java classes, where I have the about dialog, the button item adapter, the change log dialog, the main activity, the preference activity, and the preference activity compact. I'll only be explaining two of these activities because of time, because the source file will be available for you to actually get yourself acclimatized with. The main activity is actually one of the major activities in this particular application, whereby we need to integrate, import a lot of stuff, the dialog interface, the color drawable, the password transform method, and even the aforementioned material dialog. We integrated the dialog button, the graphics enum, the material dialog itself, the theme, the circle view, the chooser dialog, the file chooser dialog. A lot of dialog integration here. Even the button library. Now we have the main activity that explains app compact activity and implements the file chooser dialog, the folder callback, the file, the folder chooser dialog this time again, the file callback, the color chooser dialog, and the color callback. Now we have different fields, the storage permission, password input, positive action, primary, pre-select, even the utility methods where we have the accent, select, the mTools, the mthread, mhandler, the choose dialog. Now we have the show toast message. We have the start thread, because it's going to have a runnable object, whereby if the mthread is not equals to null, the mthread gets interrupted. Now you instantiate the mthread with a new thread and pass a run object and start the thread. We have the show toast to actually get the string and set up the message. Now we begin the sample. The onCreate method, whereby we set the content view to the layout activity main and bind up the button hive, and we call on the primary preselector IDs and its accent. Now we have the onDestroy, because definitely we're going to be destroying the dialog probably after finishing. Call on the super onDestroy, and we passing the mhandler to null at this point in time. We have the onPause. Now we're going to be picking each different module of the dialog one after the other. We have the show basic no title dialog, where we're going to build up it. We're going to build the dialog with the content and a positive text and the negative text. There's always a positive and a negative text. That's either yes or no, agree or disagree. You know, different kind of dialog you're going to show to your users. Now you have to call on the show method to actually show this up. Now we have for the build or the show basic method as well. This is actually handling to the show basic dialog. We have for the show basic long content. We're just trying to have different modules or different types of dialog. Now let's look at the basic icon, where you get to include icons to your dialog. We call on the icon res, where we have the mapmap IC launcher and the limit icon to default size method, also called you set the title. We are trying to build up this dialog, the content of the dialog, the positive text, and I agree or disagree. I will show it up. We have the show basic check prompt. Now let's look at how we do the check prompt, where we have the show toast and prompt the check, and also call the dialog is prompt checkbox check. When you have to check it, a prompt message. Now there's a checkbox prompt res, where you have the message on it. Don't ask again, you know, or you should ask, and you show it up. We have for the show stacked, show neutral kind of dialog. We have the show callbacks. A lot of handling, dialog handling in this particular main activity. We have for the show list dialog, whereby you have a list of dialogs to actually show. That goes on to even the show list check prompt, whereby you actually call on the items called the array, the social networks from the array XML. I have an array XML right in this application. And on selection, you have the material dialog, the dialog itself, the view, which particular integer, and the text from the character sequence. These are all parameters that you need to actually call before you can call the check prompt, res, and the negative text. I'll be looking at one more class, the preface activity. Let's look at the preface activity. This actually has let's look at the imports. We import the preference fragment, where the preference activity extends app compat activity, and then we have the settings fragment. This is where we have the settings. We extend the preference fragment. The onCreate method settings, calling the XML preferences. These preferences. Now we have the onCreate method itself, whereby we call on the layout preference activity custom. I've explained this XML earlier. We have the option item selected too, and the particular item selected, and we have our backpressed method also called on it. I'll be moving straight to the manifest. Android manifest, whereby we need to add something very important. The user's permission, right? External storage, very important. And the theme, you need to call on the theme.appcompile, because this is the latest APIs used, and you have to use the theme. app compact. It must be specified, or else you start to get the compile error. Now we have the launch activity, which is the main activity. We have the preference dialogs as an ensuing activity being called, and the preference activity compact as the second activity also being called. Now I'll be showing these in an Android emulator for you to see the different modules of lists items that we actually integrated the dialogs, the material dialogs into. And I'll also be uploading the source files to my GitHub account, so you can actually pick up the source code. It's a proper package, it's a full structure of libraries, whereby you can just decide to pick the particular type of material dialogs you really want to include in your application. Next, you don't have to necessarily use everything. You can pick one or two, and it should be like a fallback library for you, where you get to quickly search and look at the particular dialog that fits your application, and you pick it up from there and use it in the course of your application. Now I'll be going straight to my emulator to show this. Here we go with the application material dialogs. We have for the basic kind of dialog, where we have the basic dialog, no title. You click on this, let's see how the dialog comes in. Okay, this says this app wants to access your location. You can use this for location applications. You can click out of it to actually make it disappear. We have the basic itself, which we actually have a title. This is if you want a title right on the basic kind of dialog. Just Google's location services. Disagree or agree. Now let's get to look at with the icon, the basic icon of it. You can see an icon right beside your dialog, and it can actually be an icon of your application or something else. You have it, it's a title as well. Now let's get to look at the action buttons. We have for the stack buttons, we have the neutral, and we have the callback. Let's get to look at the stack buttons, and you notice that we have two buttons, two types of call triggers buttons, which are in form of text. You can turn on speed boost now, or you can say no thanks. Click on no thanks. You have to actually call the no thanks method that's being used, and you'll be able to set it appropriately. We have for the neutral button, whereby you have three types of agreement, more information, disagree, and agree. More information can take them out of the application to somewhere else that they can get more access or more information about the service. Disagree will actually set up to disagree, and agree will actually continue the integration or continue the application. You take out of this to actually have your focus. Now we have for the basic list. Let's get to look at the basic list. The basic list, whereby you get to have a list of some stuff. These are for social networks. Look at how this been listed. You can even scroll inside a dialog, whereby you have to review all the aspects of the list. Now let's get to look at for checkbox prompt. Basically for checkbox, notice this. You can decide to check. You can decide to check. You can decide to that basically for checkbox. When you click on Facebook, it actually tells you that click on Facebook. Let's look at the long press. Basically, the long press. All right. We'll be looking at the choice list, where we have a single choice, and these are choice where we have toggle buttons. You want to pick on Twitter, Google Plus, or Facebook. Decide to include this and click on the choose. This choose button should be handled to any activity you want, or any method that you wanted to actually handle that. We have for limit selection, choose list for limit selection, whereby you can actually pick more than one. This is a checkbox. It's fine. Item selection, the limit reached. That's probably for 2. Let's get to look at other stuff. We have for the advanced lists. We have for the choose view. This is for custom. Let's look at the color chooser and probably the input, which is from the commons library. for the color chooser. You can try this on your real device. Color chooser. Let's do the color chooser accent. Wow, I get different type of colors. And even decide to reduce the RGB settings. Is that for different kind of shades of colors. You can see that the color code is actually changing. So these are different color codes whereby you can preset and actually click on done, or you can cancel it up. That's fine. That's the color chooser. I want to look at the file chooser before we can file chooser. It's my input. What's your name? You put your name and you get it submitted. Let's get to look at the progress dialog. Let's start to have progress dialog spinning. This is from, you can see how it's been reading. It's reading up to 150. That progress dialog you can use in your particular application. We have for preferences as well. Or you have the preference dialog. This is for settings. Where you have your dialog preference, your list preference, and your edit text preferences. They are just quite simple. Let's get to look at for the file chooser. Click on this, and actually take us to our storage. This is actually looking this way because this is an emulator. Your real device is going to actually take you to a right directory right in your application, so you get to see what's it's actually the directory you actually need to pick one file or the other, to actually integrate a file chooser. This is a bumper package with a lot of dialog to play with and a lot of dialog to actually pick to fit your kind of application. Thank you very much for hanging out with me throughout the session. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Have a wonderful time. Bye-bye.